Welcome to Megamind. I am David.
And I am Monica.
A quick reminder, please give us a like, hit the bell, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching and supporting us. So, Monica, today's chat is going to be a good one. We're diving into something that's a little bit mindset, a little bit practical life advice, and a whole lot of those aha moments people love.
Yes, and I think what's great about today's discussion is it's not about chasing overnight miracles. It's about those consistent, intentional steps that, when you stick to them, make everything else in life a bit easier, a bit smoother, and a lot more rewarding.
That's the key word right there. Intentional. You can drift through life and let things happen to you, or you can make conscious choices that line up with where you want to be.
And the funny thing is, most people think they're making choices, but really, they're reacting.
Oh yes, reacting instead of acting. And when you're stuck in reactive mode, you're basically letting other people's priorities run your day.
Exactly. I mean, think about the number of times someone says, I didn't have time. The truth is, it's rarely about time. It's about priorities and focus. We all get the same 24 hours. The difference is in how we spend them.
I remember someone once told me, if you don't schedule your priorities, you'll end up working on someone else's. That hit me.
Oh, that's a good one. And speaking of scheduling, one of the first points I want us to talk about today is the habit of planning your days in alignment with your bigger goals.
Right. Not just, I've got to do laundry and answer emails, but asking yourself, what's the one thing I can do today that will move me forward in the big picture?
And you know what's surprising? That one thing is often smaller than people expect. It might be a single phone call, sending that one application, or spending 20 minutes learning a skill.
And once you've done it, the momentum kicks in. You feel like you're in motion, which makes the next step easier.
Yes, and the beauty of it is momentum doesn't require massive energy. It just needs you to start.
Which ties in with another point we need to unpack, perfectionism.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, perfectionism kills more dreams than failure ever will. People wait until conditions are perfect, until they feel ready, and guess what? They never start.
And while they're waiting for perfect, time keeps moving, opportunities pass by, and someone who was willing to start messy ends up ahead.
I always say, done is better than perfect. You can refine along the way, but you can't edit something that doesn't exist.
Exactly. That's why I like the idea of low-stakes experimentation. If you think too much about how others might judge you, you'll never try. But if you see everything as an experiment, you give yourself permission to test, learn, and adjust without that heavy pressure.
Which leads us to something we both love talking about, feedback.
Ah, yes, the gift that doesn't always feel like a gift.
I know, right? The thing is, constructive feedback isn't an attack, it's a shortcut. Someone is literally telling you what you could do to improve.
True, but a lot of people's ego gets in the way. They hear feedback as criticism, and then they shut down.
Which is why I like to flip it. When someone gives me feedback, I ask them for one thing they think I could improve and one thing they think I'm already doing well. That way it's balanced.
Oh, that's smart. It makes it easier to hear because it's not just a list of things you're doing wrong.
And speaking of improvement, one of my favorite points in today's discussion is about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yes, this is huge. The people you spend time with influence your mindset, your habits, and your expectations without you even realizing it.
I think it was Jim Rohn who said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
And it's not about cutting off everyone who isn't a high achiever. It's about making sure the people closest to you support your growth instead of holding you back.
Right, and if you can't find those people in your immediate circle, you can find them through books, podcasts, courses.
Exactly. You can borrow the mindset of someone you admire by consuming their content until it starts shaping the way you think.
Which connects to another big lesson, intentional learning.
Ooh, I love this one.
If you want different results, you have to learn something different. And that doesn't mean signing up for a 5-year degree. It could be as simple as spending 15 minutes a day reading or practicing.
Yes, and making it a habit. Because the difference between people who make progress and those who don't often comes down to consistency, not intensity.
Exactly. And we live in a time where the resources are endless. Free tutorials, audiobooks, online communities. The problem isn't access. The problem is focus.
Which is why it's so important to set clear boundaries with your time and attention.
Oh yes, this one's big. Because if you don't protect your focus, the world will steal it in 10 different ways before breakfast.
Notifications, messages, news, social media, they all want your attention. And if you give it away mindlessly, you'll end the day wondering where your time went.
That's why I like the idea of having offline zones in my day, times where I'm not reachable unless it's an emergency.
And it's not about being antisocial. It's about creating the space to do the deep work that actually moves you forward.
Speaking of moving forward,
I know what you're going to say. Resilience.
bingo! Life's gonna throw curveballs. You can either see them as signs you should stop or as detours that might lead somewhere even better.
And here's the thing, resilience isn't something you're born with or without. It's a muscle you build by facing challenges and choosing to keep going.
Yes, and sometimes resilience is less about charging ahead and more about knowing when to pause, regroup, and then continue.
Right, because if you burn yourself out, you're not being resilient, you're just running yourself into the ground.
Which brings us to self-care. And I don't mean bubble baths and scented candles, though those are nice.
No, real self-care. Things like getting enough sleep, eating well, staying active, managing your stress.
Exactly. Because if your energy is low, everything else feels harder.
And this isn't selfish. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you're running on fumes, you can't show up fully for yourself or for anyone else.
Remember to subscribe, thank you.
You know, one of my favorite takeaways from what we're discussing is that so many of these things build on each other.
Oh yeah, they're all connected.
Like, when you take care of yourself physically, you have more energy to focus. When you focus, you make better decisions. When you make better decisions, your confidence grows.
And when your confidence grows, you're more likely to take opportunities that come your way.
Exactly. It's a positive loop.
And that's why it's important not to see any of these tips as one-off fixes. They're habits.
Right. You don't just set a goal and forget it. You revisit it, you adjust, you track your progress.
Which reminds me, tracking progress is such a game changer.
Oh, yes. Because if you're not measuring, you're guessing. And guessing often leads to feeling stuck because you can't see how far you've actually come.
Even something as simple as writing down one win every day can change your mindset.
And over time, you see patterns, what's working, what's not, and where you need to shift.
Another thing I think people overlook is celebrating small wins.
Yes. People wait until the big achievement to celebrate, but those small wins are what get you there.
If you're only happy when you hit the big milestone, you spend 95% of the journey feeling unfulfilled.
And honestly, the big win feels so much better when you've enjoyed the process along the way.
That's a great point, Monica, because the process is where life happens. Those little improvements, the lessons you learn, the moments you didn't plan for, that's the stuff that shapes you.
Absolutely. And I think people underestimate how much of their future success is built on those day-to-day habits they barely notice.
Yeah, it's like planting seeds. You don't dig them up every day to see if they're growing. You water them, give them sunlight, protect them from weeds, and trust the process.
And the funny thing is, some of those seeds grow into things you never expected. You start a new habit for one reason, and months later you realize it's helped you in a completely different area of life.
That's so true. Like, I started journaling just to clear my head, but over time, it's helped me make better business decisions because I can see my thought patterns.
And for me, exercising regularly started as a way to feel healthier, but it's made me more disciplined in my work too. It's all connected.
Which brings us to a big one. Discipline versus motivation.
Oh, here we go.
Motivation is like the weather. It changes all the time. You can't build your life on something that's so inconsistent.
Exactly. You might wake up feeling pumped one day, but the next day you're tired, or the weather's bad, or you just don't feel like it.
That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is the decision to show up whether you feel like it or not.
And here's the magic. Once you start, motivation often follows. But if you wait for motivation first, you might be waiting a long time.
And discipline doesn't have to mean being hard on yourself. It's about making the path to action as easy as possible.
Right. You remove the friction. If you want to work out in the morning, put your clothes out the night before. If you want to read more, keep a book by your bed or download an audiobook.
Small tweaks like that turn intentions into actions.
Which reminds me of another important point, designing your environment.
Oh yes, the invisible hand that guides so much of our behavior.
If your environment is cluttered, distracting, or full of temptations, it's going to work against you.
And the verse is true. If your environment supports your goals, you don't have to rely on willpower all the time.
For example, if you're trying to eat healthier, don't keep junk food within easy reach. Make the healthy choice the default choice.
And sometimes designing your environment means setting boundaries with people too.
Yes. Not every invitation or request deserves a yes. Protecting your time is protecting your future.
I love that. And saying no doesn't make you selfish. It makes you focused.
Exactly. Every yes is a no to something else. You've got to choose what you're saying yes to carefully.
This actually ties into one of my favorite strategies, the stop doing list.
Oh, I like this one.
We all have to-do lists, but few people have a stop doing list. This is where you write down the things that waste your time, drain your energy, or don't serve your goals, and then commit to cutting them out.
And sometimes those things aren't obvious until you step back and look at your week. You realize you've been saying yes to things out of habit, not because they matter.
Another area people underestimate? Rest.
Oh, yes. The hustle culture myth that you have to work 24/7 to succeed.
Yeah, burning yourself out doesn't make you productive. It makes you replaceable because you're too exhausted to do your best work.
Rest isn't a reward, it's a requirement.
Exactly, and that doesn't mean lying on the sofa scrolling your phone all day. It's about intentional rest, things that actually recharge you.
Like spending time in nature, having a real conversation with someone you care about, or engaging in a hobby that has nothing to do with work.
And while we're on that, hobbies.
People think hobbies are a luxury, but they're actually essential for creativity and balance.
Yeah, when you step away from your main work and immerse yourself in something different, your brain gets a chance to reset.
And you often come back with fresh ideas or solutions you couldn't see before.
This connects nicely to the concept of curiosity.
Ah, curiosity, the underrated driver of success.
When you stay curious, you keep learning, you keep exploring, and you're more open to opportunities.
And curiosity makes life more fun. You stop seeing challenges as problems and start seeing them as puzzles.
I love that. Problems feel heavy. Puzzles feel engaging.
Speaking of puzzles, one puzzle people often struggle with is balancing short-term needs with long-term goals.
Oh yes, the I'll deal with it later trap.
It's easy to prioritize what's urgent over what's important. But if you never make time for the important stuff, the urgent stuff just keeps multiplying.
That's why I like to ask myself, will this matter in a year? If the answer is no, it probably doesn't need my full attention right now.
Another great question is this moving me closer to my goals or just keeping me busy?
Oh, that's a good one, because busy and productive are not the same thing.
Exactly. You can be busy all day and achieve nothing that actually matters.
Which is why it's so important to define what matters to you. If you don't, you'll end up chasing what matters to everyone else.
And once you've defined it, you've got to commit to it. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard.
That's when the growth happens. The hard days are the ones that shape you.
And when you push through them, you build trust in yourself. You start believing, if I can handle that, I can handle what comes next.
Which, funnily enough, makes future challenges feel less intimidating.
Yes, because you've built evidence.
Exactly, and evidence beats wishful thinking every time.
I think another thing worth touching on is gratitude.
Ah, yes. Gratitude changes the lens you see life through.
When you focus on what's going well, you're more energized and optimistic, and that affects how you act, which affects your results.
And gratitude isn't about ignoring problems, it's about recognizing the good alongside the challenges.
I like that because it's not pretending everything's perfect, it's acknowledging the progress you've made, even if you're not where you want to be yet.
And that ties into patience.
Oh yes, the unglamorous virtue.
Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It means trusting that the steps you're taking will add up over time.
And the funny thing is, when you focus on the process instead of constantly checking the clock, things often happen faster because you're not sabotaging yourself with impatience.
You know, Monica, when we look at all these ideas together, it's like building a toolkit for life.
Exactly. And the great thing about a toolkit is you don't need every tool every day. But when a situation comes up, you've got what you need to handle it.
And the more you use the tools, the better you get at choosing the right one for the job.
Which is why today's conversation isn't just theory, it's something people can start applying immediately.
That's right. If you're listening to this, don't try to change everything at once. Pick one thing we've talked about today and start there.
Yes, build the habit of making small, consistent changes and watch how it compounds over time. Drop your comments below and subscribe to our channel. David and Monica are personas we use to make our content more engaging and relatable. We're not affiliated with any organization or product mentioned. Our discussions are just for inspiration and entertainment, not professional advice. Always think for yourself, take what works for you, and make your own decisions. See you next time.
See you next time.